Howdy.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Good.
All right. Happy Monday, guys. By the time you watch this, we will be back from our trip. And so we're very sad.
I'm probably very tired.
I'm
Maybe
probably
as tired
very
as I actually am right now trying to get ready for a trip.
We're recording. We haven't left yet, actually. And yeah, so we still have a lot to do, and so we're just going to blast right through this. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the snack size episode. This week it is Laura's turn, and where are you taking us? What are we talking about? What's going on? Tell me everything.
All right, what's happening? We're going to talk about the foreign accent syndrome. Have you heard of this?
No.
Okay.
Wait. No. But I know, like, Britney Spears for a while, like, talked with a British accent, and I think one of her songs, she sings with a British accent. Like,
Okay.
is that it? Or is it
It's not quite
worse?
that. It's
No?
not like Madonna suddenly getting a British accent when she married Guy Ritchie, right? Hold on.
Okay, so it's not like that. It's worse?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. All
We're
right.
going to talk about this. All right. So let me give you my sources. It's utdallas.edu, npr.org, and the bbc.com.
Cool.
So, foreign accent syndrome is a speech disorder that causes a sudden change in speech so that a native speaker is perceived to speak with a foreign accent. FAS for short is most often caused by damage to the brain, caused by a stroke
Oh.
or a traumatic brain injury.
Oh, okay.
So, other causes have also been reported, including MS and conversion disorder. And in some cases, there's like no clear cause as to why this has happened. So, speech may be altered in terms of timing and intonation, I also have this, and tongue placement so that so that it's perceived as sounding foreign, right? So the speech remains highly intelligible, so you can understand everything the person's saying.
Okay.
It it just and it's not like disordered or anything like that. It just sounds foreign. So, FAS has been documented in cases around the world, including accent changes from Japanese to Korean, British English to French, American English to British English, and Spanish to Hungarian.
Oh, I'm okay. American English to British English, sure. But Spanish to
Uh,
Hungarian? Wow, all right.
yeah, there's also British people who now sound like Italian. There's Americans, yeah, sound like they're straight out of Mary Poppins.
So it's
So
not like they're adopting or they're just speaking in
they're
a
not putting it on.
accent, right? But they're
Mm-mm,
not speaking an accent that might be closely related. It
not
could
even
be
close.
Spanish, so
Anything.
it's not like Spanish and Portuguese. It could
Mhm,
Spanish to Hungarian, which are two completely different
right,
sounding. Wow, really? Okay,
exactly.
that's crazy.
So let me tell you a story about somebody this happened to. So when Karen Butler went in for a dental surgery, she left with more than numb gums. She also picked up a pronounced foreign accent. It wasn't a fluke or a joke. She developed a rare condition called FAS that's usually caused by an injury to the brain that controls speech. Butler, you hear maybe little squeaks. Butler was born in Bloomington, Illinois, and moved to Oregon when she was a baby. She's never even traveled to Europe or lived in a foreign country. She's as American as she says that she's like born and bred, right?
Right.
But she doesn't sound like one anymore. Her accent is now a hodgepodge of English, Irish, and perhaps a little bit of some other European accents.
What?
Yeah. So the problem
Wow.
started a year and a half ago when she was under anesthesia and the dentist removed several teeth. I just went to sleep and I woke up and my mouth was all sore and swollen and I talked funny. And the dentist said, "You'll talk, normal when the swelling goes down."
Sure.
But the swelling went away and the foreign accent did not. So, neurologist Ted Lowenkopf, he's the director of the Providence Stroke Center in Portland, he diagnosed her with FAS. And I said, it's usually from the brain injury, um,
Right.
but with hers, just getting teeth pulled. So, there have been about
Great. Now
100.
we're all afraid of the dentist now.
Right now.
Even more
I mean,
so.
actually, it might be kind of cool, but A little weird, right?
Right.
So
Go.
there have only been about 100 known cases of FAS since it was first reported in the 1940s. The most famous case was a Norwegian woman who was hit by shrapnel in World War II.
Whoa.
Um, Unfortunately, she developed a German accent and was ostracized as a result. So, um, the
Okay.
lady Butler, she may have suffered a small stroke while she was under the anesthesia, but they don't know for sure.
Okay.
Um, yeah, pretty crazy.
That's
So,
wild.
so in the meantime, it's possible for her to get her American accent back, but she has to do intensive speech therapy.
Wow.
Yeah. So another lady, her name is, I'm sure it still is, Julie Matthias. Um, so her family have a game they sometimes like to play after she comes home, disappointed from another doctor's appointment. During dinner, they pick a foreign accent and challenge each other to speak in the strange voice. So the playful jokes help to distract from the condition
Okay.
that doctors have been struggling to treat. So she's from the UK and has lived there her whole life. Um, but she finds that she no longer speaks with an English accent. Now she sounds French or Chinese instead.
Wow.
So 4 years ago this Easter, that was the last time I heard my own voice, she tells me on the phone. Matthias is one of a handful of people in the UK with foreign accent syndrome. Although their speech is completely fluent, now they sound like they're from somewhere else. Um, so hers, she thinks, is from a car accident, right? Which kind of makes sense if it was,
Sure.
traumatic brain injury.
Right.
Um, right. So a few months after the car accident, um, and having like some painful migraines that went along with it and stuff. But it took time. Then her voice started to shift accents, and the change soon caught the attention of people in her beauty salon. She said her clients started to talk to her as if she didn't understand English.
Oh God. Like real
And again,
slow and
like she's,
deliberate.
mhm.
Oh my God.
So, and again, they can't quite figure out like why that caused it versus like anybody else who got in a car accident, right? And um, she said, people just take it as a joke, and they just focus on the fact that she speaks with a funny accent.
Right.
But and she's very upset about it, that she went to sleep and she woke up and you don't even sound like yourself, and there's nothing you can do about it, right?
That would be
Um,
very disturbing. Yeah.
right. All of a sudden, you sound, I mean, British or something, maybe more mainstream might be okay, but if you, sound something more exotic, possibly, Middle Eastern, Asian or something,
Right.
that would be harder for people, especially, depending on how you look too. Like you look super English and now you sound, to sound Chinese.
Right. Then
And
it's
people are going to
like,
be like, are you fucking kidding? Or
what are
what is
you trying
happening?
to do here? So it's not that they just know another language. They're just speaking their language with an accent of
Right.
another. Okay, so it's not like these
So
people
it
wake up and
seems
they
like,
just know Chinese.
no,
Oh, okay.
they're speaking
Okay.
English, but with a Chinese accent. So what they think is basically you get an injury in your brain or something in that center, and it, changes just the way that you say syllables or the way that your mouth forms.
Forms words.
Yeah. And now and then you kind of, your rhythm and everything, your cadence kind of sounds foreign.
Oh my
Um,
God.
yeah. Um,
That is so insane.
yeah. They said, so when they studied some people, they said that they still use the same rising and falling tones as healthy speakers, but they use a lot more of them. So instead of highlighting some of the words, they highlight all of them. So just
Whoa.
depending, like their
Okay.
brain just forms the speech totally differently. So, and that's one of the hardest aspects of an accent to master. So when you're trying to learn a foreign language, this is the stuff that people can't get because it's so different from theirs.
Right.
But now they have that, right? So, um, whatever you hear, it might be, now sound like more like a German sounding, even though you're saying
Right.
whatever French words or what have you. One of the most profound cases that I watched a little clip on a news station was there's a woman from Texas who they had a clip of her speaking beforehand, whole draw, very Texan, right?
Sure. Okay.
Howdy y'all, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And now she sounds like Mary Poppins. And it's the craziest thing.
Like
She,
actual Julie Andrews Mary Poppins, like a very clipped British.
yes, very. Yeah. And so
Whoa.
if you want to look it up, you can see, like I said, there's not a ton of this, but it has been covered pretty frequently by the news, particularly in Britain. It seems like there's a bunch of cases, or at least they got publicity there, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's really crazy because then you see these people, and now they sound like that Texas lady. Now she sounds 100% like Spoonful of Medicine. Like,
I'll say
it's just
spoonful of sugar.
Spoonful of sugar, whatever makes the medicine go down. Yeah, that one. But it's really funny, and it's such a strange thing, I think, to have happen, right?
Right. So could it, I mean, is it
I don't know.
like, I mean, obviously it's just whatever happens to come out, but is it like, are they noticing that it's languages that other people, accents, other people that have them might have heard before? Or like, how would you know if you spoke Spanish that all of a sudden now that the accent you're using is Hungarian unless you'd heard it before? How are they?
Well, that's probably a combination of, yeah. I mean, we live in a globalized society, right? So,
Right.
um, I don't know how many people could pick out a Hungarian accent per se,
I sure
but
couldn't.
yeah, it sounds a little bit German, but yeah, it's
Wow.
I mean, I would believe so, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they know anything about the language,
Right.
really, besides whatever you hear on TV or
TV
in
or
passing.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, as
That's
Americans, we all know what British accents sound like, and they know what American accents sound like. But
right. Yeah.
when you're talking about the people from like Spain who now sound Hungarian, or even for a Texas lady, like she could not have put that on. You can't like 24/7
It's,
as well as it sound. I mean,
yeah.
I can do a really bad British accent that no one wants to hear, but I certainly can't keep it up, and I can't do it all the time. For every word.
Right.
Oh.
Exactly. And I mean, like actors that are American that play British characters and vice versa, they have voice coaches
Mm-hmm.
that teach them how to say certain things properly. Like, this is so fascinating. I've never heard of this.
Yeah, and I lived in Texas for 5 years, and
Yeah.
the only thing I picked up was starting to say y'all, but y'alls. Um, but I certainly don't sound like I'm from Texas.
No.
So even that, like, just kind of being around it and absorbing the accent, this is not anything like that.
Yeah. And
Like you hit your head and yeah, now
that's
you have an
crazy.
Irish brogue or something. Yeah, that you can't get rid of. That's the other thing. It doesn't go away unless you have
Another,
um
what, head injury? Or you go back to the
right, just
dentist?
keep
Or
hitting yourself in the
right, the
head with
head,
this stuff.
right? Or go back to the dentist. Put those
Right.
teeth back. I don't know what you pulled, but
Yeah, unfortunately you have to get like really intensive speech therapy.
that is so crazy. I'm
Hmm.
going to have to ask Jennifer's mom if she's heard about it or she's even encountered it because she's a behavior and speech therapist. She
Right.
primarily works with individuals that have autism, but I mean, maybe she's heard of it. I'm sure in her education she's had to have studied it. I would imagine
Yeah,
as a speech therapist.
I find it fascinating, and partially
Utterly,
because the
utterly.
juxtaposition would probably be kind of hilarious. But and when you see the people, like I feel for them though, because I can imagine how like crazy it would be to actually
Yeah.
have that happen to you. But it's also a little bit funny.
A little, yeah. I
A little
mean,
bit, yeah.
it would be very
It'd be fucking disturbing though if all of a sudden your voice was totally different.
Exactly. If you knew, if you, your head, because we all, when we're thinking our thoughts, we're thinking in our voice and the way we say things, we're thinking that same way. It would be very disturbing to be thinking, oh, I need to call Laura and tell her this, that, and the other thing. And then to actually call you and tell you this, that, and the other thing in a completely different voice.
Right. As
No
you're
matter,
doing it,
yes,
yeah,
like
it
no
comes out
matter
completely different.
how you try, just the way you have always spoken your whole life is utterly changed. That would be so disturbing and upsetting. And
Mm-hmm.
knowing you cannot change it back.
Right. And these are pronounced differences.
Yeah.
It's not subtle. Like they really sound remarkably different. Like you don't go from a Texas accent to
Mary
British. Like
Poppins.
it's
Yeah. That's wild.
vastly different, right? The lady I saw from England that had the Italian accent, like she really sounded Italian. She sounds like an Italian person speaking English.
My God.
Hmm.
That's so crazy.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's pretty
Fascinating.
wild. Yeah, I just thought it was really cool, very interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know
Oh,
if you
for
want to call it a
sure.
phenomenon, but um,
It's a
medical thing that happens. So
medical phenomenon. Yeah.
yeah, like a medical anomaly um, that I just find is fascinating. So
That's really, really cool. I mean, it's a cool. I mean, this was a cool episode.
right,
I'm not
yeah.
saying so cool when that happens to people. Wow. No.
All right, you and I, I'm sure, will be making some bad British accents, but
Please don't let us do it in London. My God. I hope we. I hope we didn't, because we're back
I
by
hope not.
now.
Yeah,
By the time this
and
comes
we're
out,
prepared
I
to come
hope.
out.
I hope they didn't throw us out.
I mean, the French people will not think that my accent is French. They will
There
not be
is
fooled.
no mistaking my accent, and I'm not saying a damn word to anybody while we're in Paris. Like that's not going to happen because I will.
Yeah, bonjour.
I will say bonjour, bonjour, or
Yeah,
bonjour.
you'll be fine.
First one,
Just say it
second
when
one.
you go into the store, and then you're
Or
fine.
I could just go. Maybe I could wave.
French culture.
Fine. So they will hate me less if
I mean, whatever. They're not going to wait on you. You're going to make us all look bad.
Are they going to hate me more or less if I butcher bonjour or wave? Which will they be more mad at? Waving or butchering the word?
They're used to people butchering their language, and I will be doing a lot of that. But the French, as
Okay.
snotty as they have the reputation to be, and sometimes are, um, they really do appreciate if you try.
Okay. I'll try.
On the whole, I would say the effort that you put in goes a long way with most people.
That's true. I mean, that that's true.
Yeah. So cool. All right.
Great job. All right, guys. Well, that is our snack size episode for this week. Hope you have a phenomenal week. Um, and as you know, I used to drop Coy off at school and I would be like, have a great day. And he's like, you're not the boss of me, or don't tell me what to do. And I would be like, have the day you'll have. So have the week you'll have, guys. If you don't want to be bossed around with, have a phenomenal week. And as always, stay safe out there because you never know who
Or what?
is listening. And also, I would be hella sus about your dentist. I'm just saying. Bye, guys. We'll see you
Bye.
Saturday.